Your personality creates your personal reality. You move through your day without really noticing how you got there. Not because you're lazy, not because you don't care, but because something subtle took over a long time ago. Most people don't realize when that shift happens. They just wake up one day feeling slightly disconnected from their own life. This video is about that invisible shift. It's about how people slowly begin living on autopilot and why it feels normal while it's happening. We're not talking about sleepwalking or being unconscious. We're talking about functioning, thinking, deciding, reacting, doing everything you're supposed to do, while something essential stays quiet in the background. This matters now because more people feel off than ever before. Not broken, just misaligned, busy, but strangely distant from themselves. What we're exploring here isn't a problem to fix. It's a pattern to notice, and noticing it changes how reality responds to you. Let's slow this down. When people hear autopilot, they usually imagine boredom or routine, going to work, scrolling on your phone, repeating habits. But autopilot isn't about what you do, it's about where your attention lives while you're doing it. You can have a busy, exciting life and still be on autopilot. You can be successful and still feel strangely absent from your own experience. The misunderstanding is thinking autopilot is about laziness or lack of awareness. It's not. Autopilot is what happens when perception gets outsourced. Little by little, you stop responding from your direct experience. You start responding from expectations, memories, and emotional patterns. Not consciously, automatically. Here's a grounding thought to hold for a moment. Nothing has gone wrong yet. Autopilot doesn't mean you failed. It means your system did what it was designed to do under pressure. From an early age, you learned how to adapt. You learned what was rewarded, what was ignored, what caused friction. Your nervous system learned faster than your thoughts ever could, so it built shortcuts. These shortcuts helped you survive socially, emotionally, mentally. They allowed you to move faster, to decide without hesitation, to avoid discomfort before it fully appeared. Autopilot is efficiency, just not alignment. And here's where it gets interesting. Reality doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to the state you're operating from. When you live on autopilot, you're still creating outcomes. You're still influencing situations. But the feedback loop becomes dull. Things repeat. Patterns feel recycled. Emotions echo instead of evolve. Not because reality is stuck, because your signal is. Pause for a second and notice this. Even hearing this explanation, your mind might be trying to categorize it. Agree, disagree, label it. That's normal. Autopilot doesn't shut off when you hear about it. It softens when you recognize it. Recognition is not effort, it's orientation. Here's something rarely said clearly. You are not meant to stay fully conscious every second. Autopilot itself is not the enemy. The issue is forgetting that autopilot is optional. At some point, many people forget there's another mode available. A quieter one, a more responsive one, not more intense, more present. And this is where most explanations go wrong. They try to wake people up through pressure, through urgency, through fear. That only reinforces autopilot. Because autopilot thrives on urgency. Let's reframe. Your experience of reality is filtered through your current state of being, not your beliefs, not your goals, your state. That state is shaped moment to moment by what you prioritize internally. Comfort, control, approval, certainty. Autopilot forms when those priorities become fixed. You stop choosing them, they choose for you. This is subtle, so let's ground it. Think about how you respond when something unexpected happens. A message you didn't expect, a delay, a comment that lands wrong. Often, the reaction happens before you even notice it. Your body tightens, your thoughts race, your tone shifts. That's autopilot. Not because you reacted, but because the reaction came from an old state, a remembered version of you. Here's a small reset. You're not being asked to change reactions, only to notice where they come from. Autopilot is memory running the present. It's past alignment patterns projecting forward, and reality faithfully mirrors that projection. This is why effort alone doesn't change much. You can push, you can try harder, you can think positively, but if your state stays the same, the reflection barely moves. Now here's the part most people miss. Autopilot isn't just mental, It's perceptual. You literally stop seeing new options, not because they aren't there, but because your attention isn't tuned to them. Perception narrows when alignment fades. You begin filtering reality for confirmation instead of information. That's when life feels repetitive. Same conversations, same emotional loops, same themes wearing different faces. This doesn't mean life is punishing you, it means life is reflecting you with precision. Here's a quiet insight to hold on to. Reality is not teaching lessons, it's showing alignment. Now, around this point, some people feel a strange recognition. Not excitement, not fear, just a subtle, oh. If that's happening, note it and let it pass. What we're building here connects to something larger later on. Not a conclusion, a wider frame. For now, stay with the simplicity. Autopilot feels safe because it's familiar. Familiarity feels like truth to the nervous system. So when something aligned but unfamiliar appears, it can feel wrong, even if it's lighter, even if it's more authentic. This is why people sometimes resist good opportunities, or sabotage calm moments, or feel uneasy when things finally slow down. Autopilot doesn't want peace, it wants predictability. Alignment doesn't demand control, it allows response. Here's another reorientation. Nothing here requires fixing yourself. We're not diagnosing, we're observing. Observation loosens identification. You are not your autopilot patterns. You are the awareness noticing them. And awareness changes the signal. Let's talk about forgetting. Not forgetting memories, forgetting presence. Most people don't lose awareness suddenly. They slowly redirect it outward. Performance, roles, expectations. They become very good at being someone, so good that they stop feeling like someone. This is intentional forgetting, not conscious, but functional. It allows immersion in experience. The issue is staying immersed without remembering you're immersed. That's when identity hardens. And hardened identity produces rigid reality feedback. Here's a simple way to feel this difference. Think of a moment when you felt deeply engaged, not stressed, not distracted, just absorbed. Time moved differently. You weren't thinking about yourself much. You were responding. That's alignment without effort. Autopilot is effort without alignment. One feels alive, the other feels busy. Another reset to anchor this. Alignment is not intensity, it's coherence. When you're aligned, thoughts, emotions, and actions point in the same direction. When you're on autopilot, they compete. That competition drains energy. This is why rest doesn't always restore you. Because fatigue isn't physical, it's directional. You're spending energy maintaining a state that no longer fits. Now let's address a common misconception. People think awakening or awareness means constant clarity, constant calm, constant insight. That idea itself creates autopilot, because it becomes another expectation to perform. Real awareness is quieter. It doesn't announce itself, it shows up as responsiveness, as choice, as subtle preference shifts. You start noticing what feels lighter, not what looks better. Autopilot chooses what's familiar. Alignment chooses what resonates. Here's an important distinction. Resonance is not emotion, it's recognition. It feels like things making sense without explanation. That's your signal stabilizing. As this happens, reality adjusts. Not dramatically at first, but consistently. Different conversations appear. Timing feels less forced. Decisions feel simpler. Not because life got easier, because resistance softened. Now pause here mentally. This isn't about becoming a new person. It's about accessing parallel versions of yourself. Versions already functioning, already available. Autopilot locks you into one channel. Alignment lets you shift frequency. Same world, different feedback. This isn't metaphorical, it's experiential. But understanding comes before experience. So we're laying groundwork. Another gentle reframe. Suffering is not punishment, it's misalignment feedback. Just like pain tells you something is off physically, emotional friction signals directional mismatch. Autopilot numbs that signal. Alignment listens to it. This is why ignoring discomfort prolongs it, and why acknowledging it often softens it. You don't fix suffering, you realign. Now let's slow down again. If you're listening to this while doing something else, that's okay. The ideas still land. But notice how often attention drifts automatically. That drifting is neutral. It's informative. Autopilot isn't failure. It's information. Information about where awareness has been invested. Here's something subtle but important. You don't return from autopilot by force, you return by permission, by allowing yourself to respond differently without justification, by letting go of the need to explain every shift. Most people wait for reasons to change. Alignment doesn't require reasons, only resonance. That's why explanations sometimes feel heavy, and clarity feels light. Now, there's a broader realization this leads into later. Not now, but this foundation matters for it to land gently when it appears. For the moment, stay here. Notice your own internal pace as you listen. Fast, slow, uneven. That pace reflects state, and state is what reality mirrors. Another reset to keep orientation. This is not about controlling thoughts, it's about noticing where attention rests. Attention is creative, not in a magical sense, in a directional sense. Where attention stabilizes, experience organizes. Autopilot stabilizes attention in the past. Alignment stabilizes attention in the present. Present doesn't mean intense focus. It means responsiveness. You can be relaxed and present. You can be quiet and aligned. You don't have to do awareness. You allow it. Now consider this carefully. Most people don't choose their reactions, but they can choose how seriously they take them. Autopilot says, "This is me." Alignment says, "This is information." That shift alone changes the feedback loop, because identity loosens. And when identity loosens, reality has room to reorganize. Here's a simple question you don't need to answer. Just notice if it feels relevant. When was the last time you changed your mind without pressure? That moment holds a clue. Alignment often shows up as ease of change. Autopilot resists change even when it's beneficial, because autopilot protects continuity. Alignment allows evolution. Another grounding reminder. Evolution doesn't mean becoming better. It means becoming more accurate to your current state, not who you were. And this is where quiet awakening begins, not with revelation, with honesty. Honesty about what feels true now, not what used to. Autopilot keeps old truths running. Alignment updates them. You don't need to confront your life to do this. You don't need to quit anything. You don't need to declare anything. Small shifts in attention do more than big declarations. Now, if you want, you can share something in the comments later. Not a conclusion, just an observation about where you notice autopilot most often. Reading others notice it too can normalize the experience. We'll leave that open for now. As we move forward, we'll explore how this autopilot state subtly shapes identity, decision-making, and even the version of reality you keep encountering. Not to solve it, but to see it clearly enough that choice returns naturally. For now, let this settle. You don't need to remember everything you heard. What matters is that something recognized itself. That recognition is the beginning of response. And response is where alignment quietly starts. At some point, autopilot stops feeling like a phase and starts feeling like reality itself, not because it took over suddenly, but because it blended in quietly. This is where things get subtle. When people think they are making choices, most of the time they're actually selecting from a very small set of familiar responses. Responses shaped long ago. Responses that once made sense. Autopilot isn't passive. It's active repetition. It keeps recycling the same internal posture toward life. And posture matters more than intention. You can intend clarity while operating from tension. You can want change while holding the same internal stance. Reality responds to posture. Let's make this concrete. Two people can experience the same situation. Same words spoken, same circumstances, same timing. One feels curious, the other feels threatened. Nothing external changed. The state did. Autopilot locks in a default posture. Alignment allows posture to adjust. This is why advice often fails. Advice targets behavior, but reality responds to state. Here's a moment to recalibrate. If something you hear feels obvious, that doesn't mean it's shallow. Often the most obvious things are the ones autopilot hides in plain sight. Now consider how identity forms. Identity isn't who you are, it's who you remember being. It's a collection of emotional conclusions. I'm the kind of person who, I always react this way. This is just how life is. Those statements feel true because they've been repeated. Autopilot reinforces identity by repeating conclusions. Alignment loosens identity by questioning relevance. Not questioning truth, questioning timing. Something that was true about you once may no longer be accurate, but autopilot keeps running it anyway. That mismatch creates friction. This friction is often interpreted as failure, or confusion, or lack of motivation. But it's none of those. It's outdated identity meeting present reality. Another reset to keep clarity. You don't need to know who you are. You only need to know how you feel responding. Response reveals alignment. Now let's talk about effort. Effort has a strange relationship with autopilot. On autopilot, effort feels heavy because it's compensating for misalignment. You push because something isn't flowing. You try harder because feedback feels dull. Alignment doesn't remove effort. It changes its quality. Aligned effort feels precise, limited, effective. You do less, but it moves more. Autopilot does more, but nothing shifts. This is why burnout happens even in meaningful pursuits. Meaning doesn't guarantee alignment. Only resonance does. Resonance changes over time. Autopilot resists that change. Here's something rarely acknowledged. Many people stay on autopilot not because they're unconscious, but because they're loyal. Loyal to who they used to be. Loyal to past versions of success. Loyal to expectations they've outgrown. Letting go of autopilot can feel like betrayal, even when it's healthy. That's why change feels emotional, even when it's logical. Logic doesn't run identity. State does. Here's another grounding thought. You are allowed to update without explanation. Alignment doesn't ask for justification. Now, around this point, some listeners notice a subtle discomfort. Not fear, not resistance. Just a quiet unease. That's not a warning sign, it's a signal of loosened structure. Something familiar is softening. Let it. This connects later to a broader realization about how reality reorganizes itself when identity loosens. Not yet, but remember this sensation. Now let's explore perception. Perception is not passive observation, it's active filtering. What you notice is shaped by what you expect. What you expect is shaped by your state. Autopilot narrows perception to what confirms identity. Alignment widens perception to what informs experience. This is why aligned people often describe coincidences, not because reality changed rules, but because perception changed bandwidth. They notice more because they filter less. Autopilot filters aggressively. It says, "I've seen this before," even when it hasn't. Another reset. Seeing something new doesn't require new events. It requires new attention. This is why environment changes don't always help. You can move cities and still feel the same, because the filter traveled with you. Now consider time. On autopilot, time feels either rushed or stagnant, too fast or too slow. In alignment, time feels proportional. Moments expand or contract naturally. This isn't mystical, it's neurological. Presence alters time perception. Autopilot fragments it. This is why people on autopilot often say, "I don't know where the time went." Because awareness wasn't there to register it. Awareness doesn't judge, it records. And recording is what gives experience texture. Now let's gently dismantle another misconception. Awareness doesn't mean overthinking. In fact, overthinking is often autopilot. Repetitive analysis is memory trying to control uncertainty. Alignment tolerates uncertainty. Autopilot tries to eliminate it. This is why aligned decisions often feel calm but undefined, and autopilot decisions feel urgent but rigid. Urgency is a signal, not of importance but of misalignment. Another orientation line. Calm doesn't mean inactive, it means unresisted. Now think about how you make decisions. Most people believe they decide based on logic, but logic usually justifies a feeling that already occurred. That feeling comes from state. Autopilot generates feelings from past patterns. Alignment generates feelings from present resonance. You can feel the difference. One feels heavy, tight, defensive. The other feels open, simple, clear. Not euphoric, clear. This clarity doesn't shout, it whispers. Autopilot drowns whispers with noise. Now here's something important. You don't exit autopilot by becoming more serious. You exit it by becoming more honest. Honest about what feels off. Honest about what feels light. even if it doesn't make sense yet. Honesty restores signal integrity, and signal integrity changes reflection. Reality mirrors honesty faster than effort. Another reset to anchor this: you don't align by fixing reality. You align by adjusting response. Response is the interface. Now, some people ask, if autopilot is so common, why don't more people notice it? Because autopilot includes the belief that what you're experiencing is just how things are. It normalizes itself. Fish don't notice water until the temperature changes. Alignment is that temperature shift, subtle at first, unmistakable later. Now let's talk about parallel versions of self, not as theory. As experience, every choice you make reinforces a version of you, not morally, practically. That version has habits, expectations, emotional tones. Autopilot keeps choosing the same version. Alignment allows switching. You don't jump realities, you slide states, and reality responds accordingly. Same world, different echo. This is why small internal shifts can lead to disproportionate external changes, not because of magic. Because you're interacting from a different version. Autopilot denies this flexibility. Alignment lives in it. Here's a soft pause to feel this. Think of a time when you surprised yourself, reacted differently than expected, chose something new without forcing it. That wasn't effort. That was alignment briefly returning. Those moments aren't rare. They're just usually ignored. Autopilot moves on quickly. Alignment lingers. Now, as we approach the middle of this exploration, notice something. Nothing here asks you to stop autopilot completely. That would be unrealistic. The goal isn't elimination, it's choice. You can use autopilot when it serves and step out when it doesn't. That flexibility is freedom. Another grounding reminder: freedom isn't doing whatever you want, it's responding from where you are. Now, if you want to share something, here's a reflection you might place in the comments later. Have you noticed moments where life felt strangely repetitive, even when circumstances changed? No answers needed, just noticing patterns. We'll keep that thread open. As we continue, we'll look at how autopilot subtly shapes emotional tone, relationships, and even the kind of challenges that repeat, not to label them, but to see how alignment alters the entire pattern quietly. For now, let this settle. You're not behind, you're not late, you're simply noticing the interface. And that's where everything starts to shift. Without force, without drama, without needing to become someone else. There's a point where noticing autopilot stops being an idea and starts becoming a lived contrast. Not dramatic, not obvious, just different enough that you can't ignore it anymore. This is where many people expect something big to happen, a realization, a decision, a turning point, but alignment doesn't usually arrive like that. It arrives as a subtle loss of interest in repeating the same internal movements. The same reactions stop feeling justified. Not wrong, just unnecessary. Autopilot begins to feel loud, not because it changed, but because you did. Here's a grounding line before we go deeper. You're not trying to escape autopilot. You're learning when it's no longer useful. That distinction matters. Autopilot still handles many things well: routine, coordination, familiar tasks. The issue is when it starts making decisions about meaning. Meaning doesn't belong to habit, it belongs to presence. Now let's explore how autopilot shapes emotional life. On autopilot, emotions tend to loop, not intensely, predictably. You feel a version of the same frustration, the same disappointment, the same anticipation, different triggers, same tone. That tone becomes familiar, and familiarity gets mistaken for depth. But emotional depth isn't intensity, it's responsiveness. Alignment doesn't suppress emotion, it allows movement. Autopilot holds emotion in place. This is why some people feel emotionally flat, even when their lives are full. Emotion isn't gone, it's stagnant. Another reset to keep orientation. Emotion is information, not identity. Autopilot confuses the two. Alignment separates them. When emotion is information, it flows. When it becomes identity, it sticks. Now, consider relationships. Autopilot often assigns roles. Without asking, you're the responsible one, the listener, the strong one, the difficult one. Roles simplify interaction. They also limit evolution. When you stay in a role too long, reality reinforces it. People respond to you as that role. You respond back. The loop tightens. Alignment doesn't break relationships, it softens roles. You respond from presence, not expectation. This can feel disorienting at first. Others may notice before you do, not because you're changing dramatically, but because you're less predictable. Predictability comforts autopilot. Alignment introduces freshness. Here's an important reframe. Freshness doesn't mean instability, it means responsiveness. Now, there's a moment around here where many listeners feel something click quietly. Not understanding, recognition. If that's happening, just note it. This connects to a broader realization about how parallel versions of you interact with the same people differently. We'll let that unfold naturally. Now let's talk about effort one last time, but from a deeper angle. Effort isn't bad, but misplaced effort drains. Autopilot applies effort to maintain identity. Alignment applies effort to express state. One is maintenance, the other is movement. Maintenance feels endless. Movement feels complete even when brief. This is why aligned action often looks simple from the outside, and autopilot action looks busy. Busy doesn't mean productive, it means occupied. Alignment doesn't occupy you, it engages you. Another orientation line. Engagement doesn't feel heavy, it feels absorbing. Now think about how challenges appear in your life. On autopilot, challenges feel repetitive, like the same lesson wearing different clothes. This leads to frustration or resignation. But challenges aren't lessons, they're reflections. They show where state hasn't shifted yet. When state shifts, the challenge doesn't repeat. It dissolves or transforms, not because you solved it, because you're no longer interacting from the same place. This is why fighting problems often keeps them alive. Attention reinforces state. Alignment redirects attention naturally. Here's another reset. What you resist, you stay in conversation with. What you acknowledge, you move past. Acknowledgement isn't agreement, it's clarity. Now let's address something subtle but essential. Many people believe they are awake because they understand concepts, but understanding doesn't equal alignment. You can understand autopilot and still live from it. Alignment isn't cognitive, it's perceptual. It changes how you see situations before you think about them. You notice space where there used to be tension, choice where there used to be reaction. This isn't dramatic, it's practical. Now let's talk about intentional forgetting again, but deeper. You forgot awareness on purpose to experience immersion. That wasn't a mistake. The problem is forgetting that you forgot. Alignment is remembering forgetting. That memory doesn't overwhelm immersion. It gives it flexibility. You can play the role without becoming it. Autopilot believes the role is real. Alignment knows it's functional. That knowing is freedom. Another grounding line. Freedom doesn't remove roles. It removes attachment to them. Now there's something important to say about awakening. Awakening isn't collective in the way people imagine. It's individual and quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't demand validation. Often no one notices except you, and even then it feels ordinary, more natural, less dramatic. Autopilot expects fireworks. Alignment feels like relief. Relief isn't exciting, it's stabilizing. Now, as we approach the final stretch, notice how the ideas have layered. Nothing here replaced your life. Nothing asked you to abandon anything. It simply reframed how interaction works. State leads. Reality follows. Always has. Now here's the last soft thread to hold. When alignment stabilizes, curiosity returns. Not curiosity about outcomes, curiosity about response. You start wondering, what happens if I respond differently? Not experimentally, naturally. That curiosity signals openness. Autopilot has no curiosity. It already knows the answer. Alignment doesn't need answers. It explores. Here's a final reset to stay grounded. Exploration doesn't require risk. It requires presence. Now, if you feel inclined, you might leave a comment later reflecting on this question, not answering it, just noticing it. Where does life feel most automatic for you right now? No fixing, no analysis, just observation. Observation changes state, and state changes everything quietly. Now let's not conclude this, because alignment isn't something you finish understanding. It's something you notice returning again and again in small ways, in pauses, in softened reactions, in moments where effort drops and clarity rises. Autopilot will still appear. That's not failure, it's information. And each time you notice it without judgment, choice expands, not dramatically, reliably. The world doesn't change all at once. It reorients. And you don't become someone else, you become more available to who you already are. That availability is subtle. It doesn't announce itself. But once you recognize it, you know when you're in it. And you also know when you're not. That knowing isn't pressure, it's orientation. So let this remain open, not as a question to answer, but as a perspective to revisit. Because autopilot isn't something you defeat. It's something you outgrow, moment by moment, without effort, simply by noticing where you are responding from. And that noticing never really ends.